I'm from the area of Central Jersey, and I work in real estate. When we first came upon the pandemic, it was very confusing because Governor Murphy had not deemed real estate agents as essential workers. It took probably about 6 to 8 weeks. And then we hit the other side of it where sellers didn't want people coming into their homes to show them. So, it was just a very confusing month or so in there before we finally got on track that we could show. And then there were a lot of conditions on how we could show. So it was difficult. You'd be under a contract and someone would lose their job, and you can't get a mortgage if you don't have a job. And then just buyers in general got very concerned about would they have their job. So they started backing out from looking at the time and just taking a step back. So it was not easy. And what used to take a couple of months to close a property was taking a year.
Independent contractors, as a general rule, are not eligible for unemployment. There was an exception made during the pandemic, and that is that because of the crisis that the country was in, Congress said that even independent contractors could be eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance.
We weren't able to collect if we had had a closing, but you might be working through that whole time, and we were entitled to work until we had a closing. And the week that we had the closing, you would claim that funds and not the PUA funds. But there was also a 6-page form that when you did claim that you had a closing, that you had to fill out. And that had how many hours you worked and things like that. At some point, I had put at least 40 hours that I worked. And then someone in unemployment decided I was a full-time worker and ineligible.
So she appealed to the appeal tribunal, which held a hearing in 2021. The hearing examiner determined that Donna was fully employed, and we believe that the hearing examiner erred because, notwithstanding her valiant efforts to work, she wasn't really generating income. And the hearing examiner employed a definition that was available under regular unemployment, but one that wasn't consistent with the CARES Act and the accompanying regulations that the federal government had established through the U.S. Department of Labor.
David and Sarah took it to a whole nother level. I thought I was pretty much finished. So I was quite surprised when they said, no, we can go further. It can go further, which it did. It was a lot, but came out with a good outcome. So.
She felt that, correctly so, that it was an injustice that she was denied. And like a lot of other clients, if you're not getting any income, naturally other things happen. There's stress and paying rent and access to food. Those are all things that our clients face.
I was fortunate enough to have family that helped, but it wasn't without using a food bank here and there, and it just wasn't easy. It was penny to penny, and If you think of her applying in April of 2020, and in April of 2023, she finally got a decision, and only very recently did she start receiving benefits. And she's received about $6,500 in benefits. Think of all the people that, especially in my profession, that went into pre-foreclosure or modification loans to pay their mortgages because they didn't have the job and they didn't have help, who didn't know to move forward or couldn't qualify to move forward with legal services.